Hey, yo, if any of you tuned in, we did the live happy hour at that. Chris was on that. Courtney was on that. It was a great time. Our panel tonight is two people that are on that, two people who weren't. And we're going to make a special cocktail together. And we'll be doing that here in just a second. And then, Alex, tell us about that real quick.
Oh, we're making the chocolate martini night. This is a holiday favorite for me. Love the chocolate martini, mostly because it's all liquor. It's 3 parts liquor. So you take liquor on top of liquor on top of liquor, and then you drink it. So what could go wrong?
That's a winning combination. There's also a non-alcoholic version if you so choose, but you're probably asleep already if you're drinking non-alcoholic right now. So let me introduce the panelists that we have on tonight. These are 4 amazing and inspirational orthodontists who I believe your reputations precede you. But if you don't know who these people are, let's talk about them a little bit. And so I want each of you to kind of introduce yourselves for about 20, 30 seconds. We will start out with a former guest, and apparently I only have you on during the holidays, Jonathan, and you're always joined by a glass of red, and that's okay. But from Princeton, New Jersey, this is Dr. Jonathan Nikozisas. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jonathan.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. And like Lizzo, this evening I'm feeling good as hell. And it's, it's really a great way to end this year, Kyle, to be on the TDO live again. I've been in private practice now for 21 years, and you've got your donut juice very nicely. I've got my yin yang, more yin yang
nice.
fellowship night live. But in private practice in Princeton for 21 years, 2 offices, just haphazardly. The only difference between me and the people in the audience is I like to hear myself talk. And so somewhere along the way, I had the idea of helping my orthodontists do orthodontics with aligners when just sharing my pitfalls, and it has blossomed into something I never imagined, and truly blessed to be able to help my colleagues however I can learn how to do orthodontics with aligners if they so choose. So with that, I'll stop talking because I could go on and on.
Of course you could. You like to hear yourself talk, just like myself. And you've helped me too, so thank you. All right, so from Washington, D.C., Dr. Patrice Smith. I said this in the opening, but I've been following Patrice, I don't know, a year maybe on Instagram, but super duper impressive person for sure. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Patrice.
Hi, everyone. Like Kyle said, I'm Patrice Smith. I was born in Jamaica, and I migrated to the US around undergrad. I did my dental school and orthodontic residency at Howard University, and then practiced in a few states after that. And then I moved back to Washington, D.C. 1, to be closer to family, and 2, to open and purchase my new practice that I actually got during the pandemic.
Wow.
Nice.
What a time to purchase a practice, my friend. Right in the heart of democracy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks for being with us. And if we get a chance later, I want to talk a little bit about some of your entrepreneurialism and the candles and all this kind of cool stuff that you do. So, but let's push on to my friend from New York City, New York, who is in Florida somewhere. Dr. Courtney Berry, thank you for changing your last name so I can pronounce it. Courtney, what's up?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. So I did just arrive in Florida, but I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I did my residency in New York City and ended up falling in love, and just not with New York City, but with a boy, and then decided to make New York my own and built my practice there and just opened in July of 2019. And it's been challenging, but the best challenge of my life thus far. And what I didn't want you to say, Kyle, is I did drive down to Florida, and I made it here in rapid time.
Okay, fair enough. You had a literal dumpster fire outside of your practice too. I just have to get, wasn't it a dumpster fire? Or am I making that up?
You know, it really was a dumpster fire.
Okay.
It was better than shattered glass, but I have a retail street level practice. And so, you know, in the heat of everything of 2020, luckily my office was saved because a dumpster lit on fire instead of the glass shattering, but all my neighbors' glass was shattered. So
yeah, I have to say that omen for 2020 was just a little too on the nose. And then we will push to our fourth and final guest, the lovely from the Bayou of Louisiana, Dr. Chris Feldman. What's up, Chris? How are you, buddy?
What's up? I'm good. My name's Chris Feldman. Have 2 practices here down in South Louisiana. Been having private practices that I opened from scratch for about 7 years now, almost 7 years. And I think I have a reputation for partying at the orthodontic meetings. And I guess that's how I get invited to be on the cocktail hours, but I'm down.
It's certainly not your turtlenecks. I'll tell you that.
Dude, it's Christmas, man. You got to get in the spirit. You got to get in the spirit.
It might one day be that, though. You just never know. Chris, you have a reputation for many. You have a reputation for many things, and I hope that tonight, like me, you will cry. That's what I'm hoping for.
No, not tonight.
Not tonight. Okay, all right. So thanks for joining me and Alex tonight. I want this happy hour to feel like the best part of all meetings, which is after people shut up and you go to the bar and you hang out and you talk and you learn stuff. That's what this is supposed to feel like. And to those of you watching at home, thanks for being there. I hope this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, is everybody drinking already? Hopefully you are. We're going to get to that here soon. We're going to get to the drinking, but before we do that, and we're going to rank the top 5 moments of 2020. But first, we have the last 7 or 8 months just been like for you returning after the shutdown. It's kind of what I want to find out. So we're just going to go in order, answer that question. What have the last 7 or 8 months been like for you after the shutdown? We'll go back to Jonathan. Tell us about what you've been up to.
Sure. Well, I think Kyle touched on it with Chris Benson. I think geography had a lot to do with people's experiences. In the Northeast here in Princeton, I still have people coming into the office wearing Ziploc sandwich bags on their hands, to come in. So I have a lot of people that are still very anxious and reticent. Personally, coming back, the first 2 weeks was, very cautious, very anxious ridden. But I really credit my staff for stepping up to the plate, putting their big pants on, all but one, and really supporting me as I tried to support them during the lockdown. So digital workflows have shined through. You'll hear me talk about the plastic employee later, but I've never been so thankful that braces make up the minority of my practice. And even going forward, I think, during the summer, once we came back, having not have to really tailor down my schedule too much, I had more capacity for more exams. I'm not saying I'm killing it. I'm going to be down a good 20% this year. Don't get me wrong, but to have the flexibility and the capacity because of the digital workflow, it really was a great aha moment for me. So, and then I'll end with the fact that my kids I don't drive my kids around for 2 hours doing activities, and it's all remote. I love coming home, and I'm home by 5:20, by 10 to 5, by 5:30, and I can watch their activities at home. It's been a tremendous blessing. So.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. What about you, Dr. Patrice? Tell us about DC.
Well, I moved from being an associate doctor pre-COVID into being the owner doc in the middle of COVID. So during the height of the pandemic, I spent most of my time kind of negotiating, and the whole uncertainty with should I even go forward with, with purchasing this practice, because nobody knew what was about to happen. But further, I guess towards June or July, when things started to slowly open back up, I decided, you know what, I said I was going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. So went full throttle into pretty much practice ownership. But I would say the negotiating process was interesting. And some positive did come out of COVID on that front, because I was able to pretty much negotiate a better price for an existing practice than I would have had it been pre-COVID. And then, of course, when the offices did fully open back up, having to adjust and be the leader of an office, which I've never been in that position before, and just being thrown full throttle into all that, and all the precautions, and, you know, leading a team and, you know, making sure that everybody is safe. Everything was really different, but I'm settling in now. So
I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that, because I mean, of all the years to start a practice in a year, in
yeah,
an election year, in a pandemic year, I mean, what a crazy time to be an entrepreneur.
I
But
know.
you're persevering. I mean, it sounds like you took the best of what you were able to work with, and here you are with a smile on your face.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I'm right in Washington, D.C. I'm actually downtown D.C., which is not too far from the White House. So I get to experience all the things.
You're right there in it. Now, Dr. Courtney, you're in New York
Wow.
City, which I have always been my favorite city in the world. I love New York, but I've been calling for the death of New York City because they're shutting everything down. So I know that it's been an uphill battle for you. Tell me about what's going on there.
Yeah, so, you know, when we first went back to work, one of the things that I had to do was strategize how to lay out my scheduling so that we could space out patients. And that was great because it allowed us more time with each patient. And then I also realized that people coming in to see their orthodontist is like literally the only time they were leaving their apartments because they were not working from home, not commuting or being with their family. And so we really tried to make sure that, you know, every time they came in, we made them feel as awesome as possible and left, you know, feeling better than how they walked in. And so that was one of the coolest things I think that I'm now going to carry into 2021. But you know, the other thing is I got married in August of 2021 or 2020, and you know, I pressed on with that, and it was super stressful. And 2020 overall was stressful, but you know, I got to tell you, like, all honesty here, sometimes I feel guilty with being like so happy in 2020 with all the that went on. Pardon my friend, I know we're not supposed to swear, sorry. but
I knew it wouldn't
but
take
Only
long.
when I'm interviewing.
yeah.
When I'm interviewing, you can cuss as much
Yeah.
as you like.
It wasn't
But
me and it wasn't Chris Feldman. That's just all I have to
yeah.
say.
But you know, I
Yeah.
mean, having a positive attitude and trying to be that positive leader for your staff, for your team, for your patients as they come in, it does require effort. It's not always natural. I did have like a couple breakdowns. One, I literally cried in the back of my office when a bottle of distilled water spilled. You know, it's like I literally cried over spilled milk. But you know, I gave it 2 seconds, then I got right back into it. But I would say overall, 2020 was challenging, but I think one of the best things I learned was really how to be that positive motivator for other people because they're always watching.
Yeah, and I think you do a great job of that. Anybody that watches Dr. Courtney's stories, it's always uplifting. Like if you're having a bad day, you just, well, let me go check out Dr. Courtney's Instagram. Like she's gonna bring you up. She's dancing, she's happy,
Yeah.
she's doing like, and that kind of energy, it's the same kind of energy you have, Chris. And I want to talk to you about kind of your, you know, the way that you've been dealing with this year, because you're a big mindset guy where you're like, you're the first one to step up and say, we have it good, guys. We're gonna be fine, right? I mean, tell me about that mindset for you.
Yeah, you know, I'm naturally a warrior, but through the past few years of opening practice and just other things I've been through, I've had to kind of train myself to let things go. And you know, I made a decision that you know, as long as I'm healthy, and my family, my loved ones are healthy, you know, nothing's gonna stop my swagger, my mood, my mindset, you know, my positivity. And you know, so from day one, I said, okay, this sucks. You know, there's a lot we can't do. What can we do? Right? We're gonna be all right, but we're gonna figure out how to be all right. And you know, I took that time and I called every single one of our patients. So that took a long time. So I was somewhat busy during that time. You know, calling my patients, and then you know, anytime you hear me talk, I'll probably mention Jeff Cos because he's been a very inspirational person to my life and my practice. And, you know, with his kind of what he talks about in mind, I started thinking about our efficiency because I knew that we would have to be more efficient you know, in the future. And, you know, no knock on aligners or anything like that, but down south, they're just not as in as high demand, and I don't enjoy using them as much. So I'm mostly braces in my practice by far. And so I started going back to what I used to do as a resident and right when I first opened, which was treatment planning every case, appointment by appointment, all the cases that we had that wanted to start and some that we had update, you know, new pictures on. From that point on, what's the next appointment going to look like, so on and so forth. How can I be super efficient when I get back? Because I don't know what I'm running into. And, you know, at first we worked a few more days and saw less patients per day. But as I'm sure a lot of people realize now, we can work safely, and we're back at capacity for the most part. So some things still different. We're being a little more cautious, but we know that orthodontic offices aren't spreading COVID. You know, there's no outbreaks associated with orthodontic or dental offices. So, you know, we're back at our capacity, but we've taken some things that we've learned to essentially come back stronger. And look, I know it's different. Like Kyle said, it's different in lots of places. And over here, people seem to be more laid back in general about it. I don't think a lot of people are terrified to come to the orthodontist at this point. So luckily, we've had a pretty good year. And part of the challenges was keeping up with those big bubbles of demand that were backlogged. So,
Right.
you know, we also were fortunate enough to have out of our 12 team members, 5 of them are or were pregnant at some point this year. So 3 of those children were born already. One's going to be born any minute, any day now, maybe minute now, and one's coming up in a few months. So we had a lot of challenges with teams being out. I had to close my office for 2 weeks because I had COVID, and 2 of my team members had COVID, and it just, you know, we just kept on trucking, and it was overall it was sucked in a lot of ways, but I know we can take on anything, and our team was amazing. Their resilience during this time, we didn't lose any, and I just think that's a testament to them and their character. So, you know, we could take on anything. You know, knock on wood, give us a break 2021, but we know our power now. You know.
Yeah. But bring it on. And I think that Kyle does a really good job when we put these panels together to make sure that we get every different view. You know, and it's true in the South. People have taken COVID less seriously in the sense that, like, they're not walking in with Ziploc bags on their hands, right? But at the same time, you look at Tennessee right now, and Tennessee has the highest case numbers of like any place in the world, and that's just
We're
because
number one. We're
And
number
look,
one.
that's not
Memphis.
And look,
So
you
yeah,
know, that's not to say it shouldn't be taken seriously, because by all means, we take the precautions, and you know, I just think, like I said, it's different in different places. And
Yeah. Well, if there's ever been a year where you recognize how different we all are, it's this year. You know, so
Well, you figured it out
that's
this year.
2020 for the history books right there. We don't all think the same. So great stuff. And of course, glad to have you all here. We're going to do this top 5 thing. And Jonathan Nicozisas sent me a top 5, and it was like so similar to mine. I eliminated your thing about warehouse liquor and replaced it with something else. Not that it was a bad selection.
$12 shipping, regardless of your quantity. I mean, it was like the best find I had in COVID.
That was number 3.
You should
number
have.
3
You
on his
should have
list.
come. Yeah, we should have come from your wine cellar. You should have filmed live from Jonathan's wine cellar.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. So we're going to do the
good.
5 moments. It'll give us an opportunity to kind of talk through these things. And I did combine some answers from other guests and from myself as well. But number 5, we're going to start with that. And your top 5 might be different than our top 5. But this is our top 5, and we love it. But the number 5 thing of this year was what I'm calling the unexpected vacation. When else will you get 8 to 10 weeks to spend with your family, or playing video games, or eating too much? And I think, like, this was the story of 2020 on some level. Is it really, as an orthodontist, at most you may get 2-week pockets of vacation ever, like the rest of our career. So you know, that's kind of cool. And so certainly there were some enjoyable things that came with that. I'd love for like 2 people maybe, because we can't do all 4 on every single thing, but maybe 2 people that had some like hilarious things happen during that 7, 8, 9, 10 week little span there. Anything good that'll make me laugh?
Well, I'll go. Aside from the normal family fantasticness, this is a Jonathan fun fact that during the shutdown, I bought myself my first pair of sweatpants. I've never owned sweatpants before, because my whole life I just found sweatpants just so unappealing, unflattering, really. And it really harkens back, and it made sense to me when Jerry told George Costanza in the one episode, do you know what you realize, what you're signaling to the world when you're wearing sweatpants? You're signaling that you give up. You're signaling that you can't make it and compete in a normal society, that you're completely miserable, but you want to be comfortable. So I think I satisfied all of those, aspects during the shutdown, and yada, yada, yada. Now I've got sweatpants in 3 different colors. So, it's all good.
All Louis Vuitton and Hermes.
No, actually they're Mack Weldon. And I'm not a KOL for Mack Weldon, but I will tell you their cotton is very supple and comforting.
Thank you for disclosing that you're not a KOL for a sweatpant company.
No problem.
Somebody was out there worried about it. Oh my gosh. I don't know if anyone's going to want to follow that, but does anyone else have anything from the unexpected vacation? It could be something poignant, but if it's also funny like that, I'll take it.
Well, I guess I'll go here. I'm a relatively new father. I have a 3-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl. And during the main part of the shutdown, where everything was shut down, that was about the time where my son was being potty trained, and he did a great job. At home we my wife, she's amazing, but he almost never had accidents. Okay, so fast forward to August, and we're going to send him to pre-K 3, right? And he's ready to roll. One of the requirements is you have to be potty trained. And first day of school, we get a call. Yeah, Ollie's not potty trained. He knew what to do and had control, but just decided that, if it's not my mom or my dad, I'm not going for him. So he'd hold it until he couldn't hold it anymore. So anyway, that was pretty stressful on us for a little while, because he couldn't go to school there. And, you feel like, oh, did we do anything wrong and everything? Well, we worked with him for a couple months. He went to another daycare for a little while where they helped him out a little more. And I'm happy to say last week he started back at pre-K 3 and he's pottying like a champ. So,
Bravo.
Lee. I'll tell you, kids, when you have multiple ones, like they all, obviously they learn quicker than the one before.
let's hope.
So it took Charlie a little while. Now Lucy, straight out of the hospital, sat on the potty and went go. I'm not lying. It's a true story. She couldn't even support her own weight, but she could use the potty. I'm just
It's
kidding. Not
amazing.
that quick.
Before I was a parent, if somebody would tell me that story, I'd probably be like, yeah, who cares? But when you're a parent, you know that something like that can consume your mind. So
Yeah. Super stressful. All right, that was great stuff. Thank you, both of you. Down to number 4. What do we got for 4?
Yes, for me, and this could have been the top one, but we put it at number 4 because being called on as a leader for your team was one of the coolest things. I mean, this is, if you're an entrepreneur, if you decide you're going to start your own business, this is maybe not for everybody. There's got to be a piece inside of you that loves that moment, right? When the shit hits the fan and you got to pull it together. And for us, that moment was like the week of March 17th or whatever it was, when we had no idea. You and I had a really good idea that the world was about to be shut down, just like everybody else said, right? The word was coming. But as what does that mean, right? And at the time it was, I think Oregon came down first, and it was like 3 months they were getting shut down, right? We've got clients in Oregon. So we call a team meeting with our team on March 20th. I'll never forget it. And I looked at our team and I was like, listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but here's what I know. We can control how hard we work through this, and we can control everything that we can put our hands on, put our focus on. What we can't control is government regulations, lockdowns, diseases. We can't control any of that. So we're not going to worry about it inside our work walls. What we're going to do is support you, give you what you need. If you want to work from home, you can work from home. Whatever it is, we want to support you as your company, but we need the best you've ever given us right now. And our team was able to kind of rise to that. The cream, rose to the top, as they say. And in that, Neon was able to grow, keep all of our clients grow. We had 99% retention rate with both our clients and our team this year. And I think that's just a testament to how hard people are willing to work for you when they're bought into you as a leader. And I just think that's the coolest feeling in the world. Anybody else get that feeling as a leader where it's just like, You love it all being on you?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Courtney.
So I have two, now three employees, and one of the things that I finally took the time to do was actually sit down and establish not only practice goals but personal goals with them, because now when we shut down, I still worked 1 day a week for a general dentist, but it was then I was finally thankful that I was my own boss, and I was able to like control my own cash flow and everything like that. And I was thinking, man, if I worked for somebody else and I didn't have as much control, I would be terrified. You know, good thing we have this cash flow available to be able to continue to pay you and continue to operate the business when we reopen. And so one of the goals that I tried to do for them was sit down with my husband and I, to sit down with them to really establish like what type of financial goals they want to set, what type of investment goals. And it was a conversation that we never really had before. And so I thought that
That's
was
awesome.
great. And that's something we're going to continue to talk about over the year.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So Patrice, you had
Yeah.
some things too.
I actually was gonna say something very similar to what Courtney said, but you know, I inherited a very supportive team, and I can say I could never have truly, you know, 100% do what I'm able to do without them. And you know, in going into practice ownership, especially during, you know, this unprecedented time, you know, it was very scary. And so, you know, that saying that they say, you know, feel the fear, but do it anyway. That's kind of the scenario that I find myself in. Kind of what Alex is describing, like you want to jump full throttle into it because, you know, I'm happy and I'm lucky that I'm able to be in this position where I am able to, you know, lead and make the rules pretty much, and to have everything like Courtney said, versus working for someone when everything is even more uncertain, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I would never want to go back to the opposite position, having been in
Right.
the position that I'm in now. Jonathan or Chris, anything to add to that?
Well, to what Patrice just said, I would say to you, Patrice, my father, who was an immigrant himself and escaped during war-torn Greece, always said to me, you know, look at Christopher Columbus. He took a chance once upon a time, and look what happened to him. So you buying a practice in what would appear to be on paper like the most challenging time, it's sometimes when everybody is zigging, you should be zagging. And I've often done that a lot in my career, and I don't always succeed. We always fail at some points, but it's those that go the opposite way tend to long term, you know, galvanize a path for themselves that would not be there otherwise. So my cheers to you.
Yeah, and look, the way, especially if there's any younger or newer practicing orthodontists out there who might have had a slow start, or this was a crazy year and a bad start. Look, my advice, I wholeheartedly believe that, you know, as long as we live in a world that's vain, and as long as parents love their children, which we know that's not going away, we as our profession will be okay. I mean, and I know you could look at it and say, well, that's easy for you to say, you're an orthodontist, you can afford it. But we all know there are people from high income all the way down to very low income. And many orthodontists, hopefully all of us are doing this, but we're making it affordable um, for a wide range of families to be able to afford braces. Um, you know, it's going to be okay. The people that wanted braces in 2020 that couldn't get them because of COVID, or because maybe their job slowed down or something like that, they're going to still want braces in 2021. Their teeth ain't going to straighten themselves. So, you know, I'm all for, let's keep our heads up. We're in an amazing profession, and I think we're safe for a while. I think when the day comes that people don't want braces anymore, or aligners, I think we'll have bigger worries than that.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Good stuff.
But
We've got giveaways that we're like sprinkling in throughout. And so, you know, we're going to give away one of these things. This is a Smurl counter. It's like a French company, and they have
Les Merle.
Les Smeurs. They have very French names there. And they offered to give one of these away. There's no, like, they're giving it away. I don't get anything for doing this. But we use these in our office to incentivize people to join us or follow us, I should say, on social. They work great. They get a low level number of likes a week, and they're cool. It's $389. And Joanna Yu has won a Smurl counter. So congratulations to Joanna. Thank you for registering, Joanna.
Bravo.
You can also save 15% off. Again, I get nothing from this. They offered this. I thought may as well share it. And free shipping if you want to buy one with the code Neon Canvas. And so if you want one of these, go for it. If you don't, then don't buy it. Nobody cares. But it's a great thing. We like it. So let's go on to number 3. And Jonathan, he's sitting. Oh, go
sorry
ahead.
to interrupt.
Yes.
I've been taking French lessons since I finished binging Emily in Paris on Netflix. It's actually Le Smurl.
The Smurl. See, I have never.
You have to get the gender correct.
Well, I've actually never taken a minute of French. I know enough Italian and Spanish to not know either. But no French, unfortunately. That's the Romance language I know nothing about. So thank you for that. We're going to go to a topic that's going to get Jonathan all heated up, I suspect. Yes. Lean in,
hello.
Jonathan.
Let me lean in. Hello.
This is my number 3. And it is in the year 2020, aligners and digital systems. Obviously, we had Lightforce on. We've talked a little bit about aligners. Now, I have to agree with Chris. Actually, the bulk majority of my practice is braces, and I'm very proud of that. I enjoy braces a lot, but of course, I do a lot of aligners too. But there's no, disagreeing that 2020 was a big year for aligners. We saw what Align stock did in Q3. It was pretty crazy. The returns were insane. And so I guess just sort of a general question about aligners, digital systems. Did you find your practice shifting more into that during this year?
Who's going first?
Well, you got to go first, I think.
All right. Well, listen, I will simply say that as I was packaging aligners to mail them out to people that were in New York City and could not come to Princeton, as I was putting them in bags with their names on it and taping it to the outside of their doors, when moms are texting me, can't I just come, or can't you just send me Johnny's aligners? It was really an aha moment and almost a validation, if you will, of a culmination of all my 21 years of hard work and bitter experience, that it said to me, hey, this is amazing that I am able to have continuity of care. I am able to I was shut down for 10 weeks, to only go in once to the office for a Hyrax, an expander that was hanging off of a molar. Other than that, I had no emergencies. I mean, sure, I put plenty of phone calls and video phones and triaging things. But that to me was a very telling, a very much an aha moment, very thankful. And so, moving teeth with aligners or CAD, I call it CAD cam odontics. We've got Lightforce on here. We've got Chloe braces. I truly think all that is fantastic. I choose to do CAD cam odontics with aligners for all the obvious reasons. When it comes to digital workflow and virtual consults, I think all that hubbub about virtual consults is kind of settling down, and it will have its place, and we'll keep its place. I just saw a webinar on Grin with Adam Schulhoff, and I don't use it yet. He didn't ask me to talk about, but I truly think Grin has something there that we have yet to figure out, whether it's existing patients or new clients to engage, to combat it, really to direct people to our offices. I think that's there. So when we say digital orthodontics, it could be CAD cam orthodontics, CAD cam odontics to move teeth. I choose aligners. Other will choose customized braces and wires, which is great. And then I think there's this whole other aspect of engaging as existing as well as potential patients that we have yet to flesh out. And 2020 made the acceptance curve, the adoption curve of all this technology happen infinitely faster than it would have otherwise.
Yeah, very well said. Anyone else? Maybe one more on this, on kind of thoughts about digital systems aligners in this year.
I've never been so thankful to be 95% Invisalign, and also 95%, or not 90, like 60%, 70% adults in my practice, where they're responsive via email. You know, you don't have mothers freaking out over their children, which I feel like, I'm not a parent yet, but I understand that you would be more worried about your child because you don't know what they're feeling, versus if you're an adult expressing something, you can express yourself. But I love the fact that I'm clear aligners.
And it's interesting, Courtney, because you and I are in the Northeast. So I think you and I really felt this challenge from patients wanting to come in, continuing their care. And I think it's very geographically specific. That's just been my perspective.
Yeah. I think
geographics. Sorry, Kyle. I was
go
going to
ahead,
say
Patrice.
geographics, because 85% of my practice is clear aligners as well, and mostly adults.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're in DC. And so it's just so interesting how different areas have been affected differently, and how we as orthodontists are adjusting the sails to the new winds that are blowing accordingly.
This is so amazing to me, because I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, and I know a lot of orthodontists in the country are on my side of the spectrum too. So, you know, and I could talk about this for a lot longer than anybody would want to listen. I have a lot of opinions on it, strong opinions, but you know, I think you have to know your audience, know your patient population. You know, that's key. If I would try to make my practice that high of an aligner practice, that high percentage, it just, I don't think it would work so well. But you know, Jonathan has taught me so much, and I've visited his practice, and I've learned so much from him. You know, so I don't fault him for doing things that way. It obviously works very well for him. So, you know, you just have to know why you do what you do. And I think that there's ways to make it work either way, conventional, digital.
Yeah, right on. I'm with you, Chris. And then we're going to go make a drink. Alex looks so wonderful with his little bar set up here in just a second. I just want to say this. I do think that the real strong aligner offices are building a bit of a straw man about braces. My experience with braces during that break was not that people were freaking out. So I just don't think that was actually the case. I know you fixed a single Hyrax, and 2 anecdotes don't make data either.
Oh God, you sound like, I'm sorry. You sound like
what you get.
Some people that run blogs that, you know, data and anecdotes
no. I
and
just
get their pants in a pucker. Anyway.
No. I'm just saying, like, my experience with a largely probably 85% braces practice was not that negative. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And
we
so,
could set up a whole,
but also still a platinum provider.
We could set up a whole lecture on or debate, you know, a Zoom debate on the topic. That could, wow, that'd be fun.
But again, I think it comes down to geography. I mean, I saw people that refused to come into the practice. I had people that, again, as I said, open my door. Well, we keep it open, but come in with Ziploc bags on their hands.
Yeah, we have some people come in with like the lunch lady gloves on and stuff. And we've got braces patients that don't want to come in either. So, geography is never just like monolithic. And I'm just pushing back against the idea that
it's all good, Kyle.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Man, can't criticize aligners with this guy.
Let's make a drink.
Let's make a drink. It's a good time for a drink. Go ahead, Alex.
Sure.
So I don't know if you guys know this. I bartended for a long time. I've always been blessed with 2 feet and legs, so I've actually never done it sitting down, but we're going to give this a shot anyway. So here we go. Okay. The chocolate martini is really simple to make and really just depending on taste, because it is liquor on liquor on liquor. Like I mentioned earlier, you can sweeten it up a little bit by changing the recipe as you go. So we'll talk about how to do that. But first, 2 ounces of vodka. I chose the Stoli vanilla because this is the Russians have figured out vodka. Vanilla is an excellent.
And some would say they figured out our election process too, but
Some
I
would
don't want to
say
go
that.
there.
Some would say that. Yeah, I don't know. So you guys go there while I make a drink. So we're going to go 2 ounces there. Now the next is choice. You can go Bailey's if you like one light Bailey's and you like a really strong martini. We're actually going to do half and half or heavy cream here instead of the Bailey's. So we're going to do about an ounce of that. We're going to go 2 ounces of the Godiva chocolate. This is really good stuff. This is so pour as much of that as you want, but 2 ounces of that.
Is it true that you were the stunt double for Tom Cruise in the movie Cocktail?
I'm actually too tall. I'm actually too tall to be Tom Cruise's stunt double.
Okay, all right. And your midline is coincident
wife-
with your facial midline too. So.
My wife would love that if I was Tom Cruise's stunt double. If you can't find the Godiva, which is tough, you can always find this little cheap like cream to cacao, by the way, when you're making this recipe, and it works fine if you can't find the Godiva like I ran all over Memphis last night looking for. All right, so we've got all our ingredients in there. We're going to shake it up. I like to do this with a pint glass on top. The key to shaking is you actually want to get the ice that you've got in the shaker to break into the drink. That's what makes a great martini. So if somebody put a martini in front of you and you can see the ice, that means you actually had a good bartender. If you can't see those ice crystals, drop your tip by at least 5%. But the starting point for tipping, by the way, is always 25%. So at that point, they're still at 20% if they didn't do the ice crystals. Little tipping point.
I'm really concerned I'm going to spill this everywhere.
Hey, you got to make sure it's packed in there really nicely, Kyle. Let's keep it.
I packed it. You taught me that. Oh, it's cold.
I'm just drinking beer. Hope that's all right.
I see that. Why is no one else making a drink?
I came right from the airport.
We made it too difficult. They're drinking wine. Okay, so Kyle's glass. Show your martini glass, Kyle.
Yeah, look at this lovely.
He's got a rim.
Wow,
beautiful.
So I'm going to do this one a
impressive.
little bit different. I'm going to rim this in chocolate. So
Do I just pour this in? I guess.
I'm going to dip it. Yeah, just pour it right in there. Use
but I don't want the ice.
You were brought. Yeah.
There needs
That's
to be a
strainer.
TDO martini set that we can purchase online.
That's a good idea.
2021.
This drink does require a lot of kraut. I will say that. So everybody see the nice chocolate rim? See how nice that is? We're gonna have a nice chocolate rim. We're gonna take a cherry and drop that bad boy in there. This is gonna be a good martini.
It's like I'm watching Bob Ross paint on PBS. This is
A little
great.
spillage, but not bad.
Oh, that looks
good.
delicious.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna get it in there.
I'm sorry that I jumped the gun on drinking this thing, but it's delightful. This is delightful. Is anyone else drinking one of these out there? I hope so.
That is DRUNK drunk right there, ladies and gentlemen.
We actually had a typo on the original recipe, and it said 20 ounces instead of
That
2
would've been
ounces.
funny.
So someone has just gone into a coma out there with the old recipe card, and I'm sorry about that.
That's good.
My drink is not
Cheers.
blue. It's red wine. Cheers.
It
Somebody
does
just
look a
asked
little
a
blue.
question.
Cheers, everybody. What are you drinking, Jonathan? What is that?
I started out with Frank's Family Cabernet from Napa.
Yeah.
I finished that bottle and I broke into
Stag's.
a little Stag's Leap.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Stag's
you know,
Leap.
my typical Thursday night with patients at 8 in the morning, but
If anyone's making this drink, go post it on the Facebook group. I want to see if anyone else has done this. I'm going to venture to guess that no one's is as pretty as this one. Look at that. Look
no,
at
that's
that.
gorgeous, Kyle.
That is
not bad.
How's it?
I had
That's
nothing to
impressive.
do with it. So thank you to Alex for making that in advance.
Let me know when you get
because
to the cherry. That's the best
He,
part.
he
The
knew
cherry
I
at
was.
the
He
bottom.
knew I was. I'll go to the cherry right now.
Listen, Kyle is the hardest
Crazy.
working man in orthodontics. I got to tell you all this. I will
Wow.
go into his practices. I see what he does behind the scenes with the scripts and the stuff to pull this stuff off. He's not kidding. I had to make that drink because there was no time. And he was up here at 5 o'clock today, came straight from the practice to pull this stuff off. So it's not easy to do what you do, my friend.
Because I love you all. Thank you. We have another quick giveaway. This is Mary's list. I think probably some of us are on Mary's list. I'm on Mary's list. I think it's a no-brainer, especially if you're starting a new practice. Hello, Mary, if you're out there. If you are a new doctor joining the group, she's giving away a $1,600 value membership. And
Wow.
the winner of that was, it's either Stephen or Stefan Yoon. Stefan Yoon. You can
Wow.
transfer it if you're not a new doctor. So congratulations, Stephen.
Congratulations.
Or
Yeah, there's
Stefan.
a, Mary's List we've talked a lot about before. I mean, just our deal alone on Mary's List is worth the price of admission. Another one is of her partners. Excuse me, this chocolate martini is good. Is
I have some left
Is-
over too, and I'm excited about it.
is a Gauge. Any of you guys Gauge user? Jonathan, you probably have Gauge in your practice.
Every
Chris,
night at 8
Gauge.
p.m.
Yeah. So, and we're really excited about this too, because we're actually going to be partnering with Gauge in 2021 to make sure that we can see all of our clients' data. And we've got one dashboard where we can compare all of our clients to each other. And that's one of the things I think is coolest about Gauge is you can see how your practice is doing against the mean, against the norms, not only in your areas, but across the country. So we are really great at filling up the top of that funnel. What we want to see is what's coming out of the bottom of that funnel. And Gauge has got that tie-in with all the practice management softwares that allow us to do that. So we're really excited about that partnership, and you can take advantage of that Mary's List membership by signing up with Gauge and of course us. And speaking of which, you can go to neoncanvas.com/audit. We'll give you a free audit on your practice, show you what's going on with it. And is there anything else I'm supposed to mention too?
No, that was it, man. You killed it. Chris and I send screenshots from Gauge back and forth. So we have very similar
very
practices.
competitive. You can get very competitive.
No.
The humble brag.
Shout out to Gauge.
No.
We love you guys.
Just we started practices about the same time.
Really similar.
We're both in the South, or what Chris called the core of the United
Well,
States, or whatever that means.
Kyle, look, anything north of I-10 is not the South.
That's hilarious. That is awesome. He just
Fair
moved
enough.
the Mason-Dixon line to I-10.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't think
like
you can
it.
do that, Chris,
No
but I
offense.
like your
No offense.
ideas.
I can respect it. So we've got two more things to count down. We're over time, but we're going to finish this strong. Alex, number 2, what do we got?
Yeah, virtual systems. I mean, we went hard on this when COVID rolled out. We showed you guys how to do virtual consults. We showed you how to do virtual appointments. We showed you how to get your lead forms tight and your lead systems and your follow-up. I mean, this is such a huge part of what you need to be doing, and especially in the Northeast. I mean, people are wearing Ziploc baggies on their hands. So you have to figure out virtual moving into the future. Everything moves so quickly. You think about, we didn't even have the iPhone in 2005, right? So the iPhone 2006 or 4, whenever the hell it came out. But the point is, technology is going to be changing quickly. People aren't going to be using computers and phones in the future. They're going to be getting information from the dashboards on their cars. So you have to keep up with virtual and how quickly things are moving, and make sure that your communication is tight virtually.
So to that point, Alex, I think virtual it's been clunky. It's been a huge time suck at first, I think, trying to absorb these people and really allocating the scarcity of your time most effectively. And I think over the next couple of years, we will figure out different systems to best engage not only our existing patients, as I mentioned previously, but engaging potential patients, whether they have skin in the game, meaning, hey, download this app or contact us, we'll send you something, and we'll give you a true virtual consultation and a video response. And when I say skin in the game, because I'm tired of just wasting my time with these people that send me photos on Smile Snap and don't follow up. Like, there's got to be different, better systems on the horizon where they have skin in the game, and just like those that came in from the pandemic that were ready to start or orthodontics, that they are going to be best engaged and filter them out so that we can use these digital systems, these virtual systems, to their best efficiencies.
And,
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead,
all
Chris.
due respect, I pump the brakes hard on these virtual consults for new patients. I mean, the skin in the game to me is come see me at the office. I'm not saying, look, if an existing patient has a question or a concern, send me a picture. I'll help you out best I can without seeing you. But for new patients, I mean, I don't know. I think we got all in as a profession, I kind of think we got in a tizzy thinking that we needed to do new patient exams virtually right away. And, I'm sure it worked for a lot of people. But I think for a lot of other people, they also realize like, okay, in a month or two from now, these people are going to come into the office for a physical exam. And and like you said, Jonathan, I mean, yeah, there might be better apps on the horizon or anything, but if I kind of messed around with this virtual consults a little bit, and it's like, come on.
I
There's
totally agree with you. I
I'm getting
totally
pictures
agree
of
with you. And I don't do virtual consults.
Right.
And the ones that I have been whatever, but I think there's something there. And over the next couple of years, I think however it'll flesh out, it will be
Right.
coming to a point and it'll be efficient and effective.
I'm with you. And I try to keep an open mind, but I also try to be realistic with what's happening,
Yep.
what it is now. But side note, one thing I've been doing that has been helpful is I use ortho screening. That's I'm not a KOL or anything like that for them, but what we do use them for is if somebody calls for a new patient exam and they don't have a dentist, like if they haven't been to the dentist in years, or we call their dentist and like the dentist says they haven't been in years, they're not up to date with that. Then we have them do a virtual consult just so I can kind of see where they're at. That way they don't come into my office and waste my time. No offense to them, but it wastes my time if I see a patient that wants braces and they have 17 cavities in their mouth. So in that aspect, it has been useful. So, I don't mean to bash it. I think there's ways to use it, but I just think the whole thought that, oh, we need to start seeing new patients. None of them want to come into the office.
To be clear, like
come into the office, you're gonna have a problem.
to be clear, these are just moments of the year, like the top moments. It doesn't, I mean, and I don't necessarily disagree. And to be fair, like Neon Canvas never sold virtual consults. We shared
true.
free content that everybody could bid for. I just want to say that because there's been a lot of negativity about it. And to those that sold products, great. I think all those things are helpful. To me, the biggest thing is more about getting patients aware of your practice than necessarily how you engage with them or whatever. And that's a whole nother like longer conversation. But virtual consults have died down for us, but we still offer it. And I think to Jonathan's point, you need to like kind of dip your toe in that water so that if that time comes that you're able to do it. For us, the one thing that we've sort of innovated on during all this whole period that's virtual is actually to have a treatment coordinator at a different office seeing new patients because we needed to create some space. And that's worked really well. And those convert extremely well. We push adults to those. And so I guess what I would just say is like 2020 to me, like one of the big headlines is we had to get creative and, you're forced to do this and you innovate. So that's been kind of cool. And I think that's one of the big innovations. Go ahead, Alex.
I just want to add my 2 cents about this is the sales and marketing guy, right? When Chris or Jonathan or Courtney or Patrice, any of you guys are paying us and our company X amount of dollars to bring you patients every month, then I want to play the law of averages, right? Meaning if the more people I can get in front of you, the more business you're going to close. And at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. All of your processes need to be efficient. For instance, if virtual consults is a waste of your time, Jonathan, or your time, Chris, then that's a treatment coordinator that needs to deal with those virtuals, right? You'll deal with them when the records and that sort of thing. So there's always a way to make these things work in your practice. What I want you guys doing and anybody else listening out there is playing the law of averages games. Get as many leads in the top of your funnel as you possibly can, whether they be virtual leads, Smile Snap, web forms, phone calls, it doesn't matter. And then get as many out of them, squeeze that juice and get as much juice at the bottom as you can possibly get. That's the game we're playing.
Yeah. Patrice, Courtney, any of you guys do virtual consults? Was it helpful? Are you still doing any of that or no?
Yeah, I offer virtual consults. I don't get too many that that do virtual consults. They may send photos in via our website, and then they get a call to come in. And that's when I do my actual consult. But I do virtual visits for my aligner patients that still or don't necessarily want to come out to the office just yet.
Yeah.
Like Patrice, I now do virtual visits. I did virtual consults, and actually the few that I did convert, which was great. But then I think I got busy again in the practice, and I was like, I don't want to spend time doing a
Right.
virtual consult.
Yep,
But now
totally
I
agree.
have dedicated like a few appointments every other Tuesday to do virtual check-ins with patients when they are, halfway through their 30 aligners, and so that I think has been helpful to kind of free up the schedule a little bit. And I
Yeah.
do Smile Snap, and I think that's 50% successful. The patients who do submit their photos and they're serious, they convert, and then there's some people where who knows where they end up.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. Obviously, we have some different opinions on that, but I think the opinion of pretty much everyone is that it was effective and it was the only thing that we could do for a moment in time, whether that was virtual visits or consults or whatever. There was, some efficacy to it. And then it seems like now, if you can get them in the office, well, obviously that's what you'd prefer. I mean, we would rather be together right now than on Zoom, right? But this is kind of what we got. So let's go back through these. What were they? Number 5 was, what do we have?
Number 5 was the Eagles beating the Saints last week. I think that was what-
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
You
Hey,
finally
something
switched that
from the
quarterback, and it worked out
We,
for you.
we deported. Yeah.
I'm
Here comes some
sorry.
cussing
They're
from
going to
Chris
be
if
at
you're not
home during the
careful.
playoffs, though, and the Saints are already in.
Yeah.
So
If Drew Brees will come back miraculously, I'm sure. So it was the unexpected vacation. That was nice. We're not going to talk football. It's not going to happen.
no, don't get me started.
Number 4 was being called on as a leader of your team. Number 3 was aligners and digital systems. Number 2 was virtual systems, and I think just having to work with the distance that was enforced upon us and still is on some level. And number 1 is it was the year of the virtual meeting. I think that's what 2020 will kind of feel like. It was the year of being at more than arm's length. That was kind of 2020. So we had some good meeting. And I mean, I guess I say this in the context of we're on sort of a talk show with doctors that speak at meetings. This was my lightest schedule, Jonathan, in many years in terms of lecture circuit. I'm sure for you, I can't even, you went down from probably, how many times a year do you lecture? Probably 15, 20?
Sure. I mean,
Yeah,
there's some travel. There's in Princeton, in an hour, I can drive to New York, North Jersey, down to Philly, out down to Delaware. And so I do a lot of evening stuff, but to your point, I've never traveled less.
It all went away, and I miss those dinners and those hangs. But we got other meetings. So we had TDO, we had Fellowship Night Live, which was hysterical. Jonathan at his best, and Moz too. We had the AAO went virtual. How crazy was that? And we had Orthopreneurs as well. And I think Jonathan said this. It was an online group therapy for stressed orthodontists. But that's kind of what it was. We needed that, and of course we would all want for something in person, let's say. But what was your experience, I guess, with virtual meetings and all that kind of stuff? Patrice, were you on any virtual meetings?
Yeah, not as a panelist, but I attended quite a bit, and I actually enjoyed it. I enjoy, of course, in-person meetings too, but I actually enjoyed being in the comfort of my home, being in my jammies and attending a meeting and getting pretty much the same information that I've gotten if I had traveled to, a meeting. So I actually like it.
Yeah, we are such spoiled little brats, myself included. On some level, it's like, oh, it's a virtual meeting. Like, you put one of these things on, it's so much time. It's so much time to do a 2-hour like little podcast thing. Like, there's a lot of time. Like, I know Glenn with Orthopreneurs put so much time into what he did, and people were like, oh, I wish it was in person. Well, it's the best thing we got right now. So I think it's cool that we still innovated and found ways. I know the AAO put a tremendous amount of time into what they did. And, there's several thousand people that tuned into happy hour for that thing. So, I mean, people obviously want this connection. No, it's not the same thing as in person, but I think we'll look back at this year and be grateful for those things, I think. Is anyone just like protesting virtual meetings? Like, are you just like done? No.
I mean,
we're all continual learners.
I'll be at the one in is it April, March?
Yeah. Yes, you will.
April
8th.
8th.
We want you here both dates.
Right before tax week. I think
I'm going to give you some things to write off. Go ahead.
like anything, you wouldn't want to attend 20 real in-person meetings, and you don't want to attend 20 virtual meetings, but one every now and again, I can deal with it. I think, there's pros and cons, but like you said, we made the best of it, and we'll look back on it. It'll be very memorable, and hopefully we never have to do it again.
But I think looking back at this year and these virtual meetings, each one in from my perspective represented different things, and they accomplished different things. They serviced different things. The TDO, which I always needled you a bit, Kyle, and I still say it was the most important meeting of the year. Why is that?
That's amazing.
Because it represented, us, almost like a phoenix rising, us coming out of these ashes to try to establish some sort of normalcy. It was new, it was avant-garde. And when you think about your lectures, it was a very frenetic pace. They were not 45-minute, 75-minute lectures. They were 15, 20-minute lectures, boom, boom, boom. And it really mirrored what we were all experiencing in our daily lives. This frenetic pace, this one right after the another, this keeping spinning plates in the air. But yet you guys pulled it off flawlessly. And so that served that purpose, that when it was done and you exhaled, we were like, holy smokes, we can all get through this. Then there was the fellowship night live, where it was intended to be irreverent. It was intended to make you feel uncomfortable and to laugh. And that's what we did. We all needed a little more yin yang, right? To this whole thing. Then there was Glenn, the AAO, before we get to Glenn's, AAO was what we expected. It was a proper orthodontic meeting that was also pulled off very flawlessly. And then there was Glenn's, Orthopreneurs, which I think filled this void of, Glenn's eternal optimism of being, always looking for the future, the eternal optimist. And so each of these virtual meetings for orthodontists, by orthodontists, really, I think, have served its own purpose, its own need, and filled voids and scratched deep itches that we all needed to be scratched. So thank you all for your hard work and your efforts, because they'll go down the orthodontic history books as an indelible mark, never to be erased.
Jonathan,
Wow.
you got to finish that with the mic drop.
That was something else, man. Goodness gracious.
Well said.
Hey, by the way, we're going to have to cut that. Producers, can we get Jonathan's testimonial of TDO
Goodness
cut
gracious.
into a 1-minute clip that we can run as an ad starting tomorrow on Facebook? Thank you, guys.
We get that on the website. Goodness, Jonathan. One minute you were comparing me to bloggers, and the other minute you were lauding me. I appreciate it.
But it's the truth,
Yeah. Well, you're sweet.
It's the truth.
Orthodontics, listen, and I get the pleasure that I'm not an orthodontist, right? And I've been in marketing now since a long time, guys, a long time. I'm like an OG in the digital marketing game. And I have clients from plastic surgeons and dentists to roofers and landscapers. And there is no other profession in the world that shares information and camaraderie like you guys do. And that's why I love it so much, that I even get to just be a little piece of a part of it, because it's an incredible community. You don't compete with each other. You build each other up. You love on each other. You share your experiences, and then you drive all the costs down for vendors. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, man. This is good stuff. Courtney, you got a cherry on top of this whole little conversation? I wish I was in Florida, but go ahead.
Yeah, like Chris said, the rules are lax down here, so I got out of New York as fast as I could. No, but I watched I didn't watch TDO live, but I watched a recording of it. And I remember I was thinking, when did I watch it? I was sitting in a bubble bath. It was freaking amazing. And I learned a lot of great things, And then I'm thinking, where was I at the AAO? I was working on my tan, watching it on my iPad. So I mean, it was like, you'll never get that opportunity again. Normally, I'm going back to my hotel at like 2 a.m. at AAO. So it's like, I'm happy
let's focus on the positives, Here's some good stuff. Unfortunately, I wasn't in a bubble bath during TDO. I was sweating in a suit coat. But hey,
You did a
it's all
great
good.
job, by the way. You did a great job.
You guys are very sweet. And this was great too. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in and everything. We're going to wrap it. We're like so over, but I wanted to get some good conversations in, and good conversations we did get in. And so thanks for all doing this. Light Force Orthodontics, thanks for being the presenting sponsor. Alex and I are from Neon Canvas. I feel like there's been lots of plugs and giveaways and all sorts of things. That's to help, make it fun and to give some things away. We have some other things to give away. We have our final giveaways. If you need a website, need digital marketing help, Neon Canvas. Alex, you've got another thing here.
We can do that. No. I
got
mean,
it.
Yeah.
Neoncanvas.com/audit. You can go do that. It's a valuable thing. And then I'm going to do the giveaway, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead and do that. That's exactly it. It is a valuable thing. We're not here to sell to you guys. We love you guys. We hope you love us. If you want to do business with us, you know where to find us.
Also, this one is much stronger. This has so much more liqueur in it. It's like not even funny. It's very good. You knew what you were making. This is the one you make for your big tipper. This is fantastic.
So if you ever go to a bar, a good bartender is always going to make the second drink very strong. That's the way it happens. It's the way.
We need a whole episode on bartending 101. I love stories like that. So, all right, ULab. I don't know if anyone uses ULab, but for new customers, they're going to offer a 90-day free software trial and access to training plus 50 free aligners. Existing customers, if you're an existing customer and you win this, you'll get 50 free aligners. That's pretty cool. ULab, actually of interest, they make their aligners in Memphis, Tennessee. They've got a factory here, or a lab, or whatever you call it. And it's got 10 business day turnaround.
Memphis,
thanks, guys.
Memphis.
And yeah, for coming to Memphis, that's great. And the winner of that was Greg Woodfin. Congratulations, Greg. And then now for the diamond earrings, this is the big giveaway. I hope one of you, Patrice or Courtney, I hope one of you win this. And if Chris and Jonathan win it, you can give it to your significant others, your wives. And this was from Leanne. Thank you, Leanne, so much. Half carat earrings. This goes to Brittany Reed. Brittany, congratulations. You just won some earrings. And I hope that you'll wear them and post that photo in our group. Cool. So we can say, Brittany, you look so good, girl. You look great. And so that's it, guys, if you can believe it. So as we always wrap up every episode of this sort of thing, from all of us here at the Digital Orthodontist Live, Neon Canvas, including our presenting sponsor, Light Force Orthodontics, and our very special guests, Dr. Patrice Smith, Dr. Jonathan Nicholzisas, Dr. Courtney Berry, and Dr. Chris Feldman. Who dat? My name is Dr. Kyle Fagala, and I'm
Alex Rasmussen.
Perfect. Signing off. We're signing off. And also, of course,
happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff.
Love you guys.
We really want you to go
Happy
to the
Festivus.
next TDO meeting. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Go to TDOlive.com, early bird promo, 50% off. It's $50 to go to a meeting that you can attend in a bubble bath. You got to go.
And I am so pumped for it. I am so pumped.
Thank you.
Yeah. Does it come with free bubble bath when you register or not?
Yes.
Jonathan, if you'll take a photo.
I'll give him a bath bomb.
The answer is
All right,
yes.
yeah, bath bomb, a TDO bath bomb. I mean, come on, it'll sell like hotcakes.
I like.
And
the
will
way
somebody
you
get
think.
with Glenn Krieger's guy and get that bath bomb made?
Glenn would get a bath bomb made. I need to contact Glenn. Glenn, where you at, Glenn? Let's get some bath bombs. All right, guys, y'all are awesome. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Unfortunately,
But we've got a huge announcement, right? I mean, that's we wanted to start this hour off with something big, something huge, and so it's time. It's ready. I think we need to tell everybody what we've got cooking.
yeah, I know it seems like one promo after another. I don't want it to feel that way, but we are excited. Part of this, doing these podcasts is to bring you information that's helpful, and I think that this idea that we're about to share and this thing that we're about to share is certainly along those lines. So why don't you announce it?
Well, as many of you know, the Digital Orthodontist Live meeting in 2020 was the first ever live, virtual, and interactive meeting for orthodontists and their teams. We had over 2,000 people tune in to learn about how to serve their patients and grow their practices while prioritizing their own mental health during a global pandemic. Since that meeting in April, many orthodontic practices have bounced back, and we know it hasn't been easy though. So as we approach another year of uncertainty, we don't know what's going on in 21. The question on our mind is, how can we continue to build the best orthodontic practice possible?
Yeah, right on. So I know people are tired of virtual meetings. I mean, let me be honest. I'm tired of virtual meetings on some level. Like I like in-person meetings. That's what I want. I did not think that when we did the virtual meeting in April that we were still going to be in the middle of all this now. But this is where we find ourselves. And so if it's got to be virtual, why not make it the best virtual meeting ever? So that's going to be our goal with this. And so if I'm going to ask you to show up to a virtual meeting, we're going to make it the best thing ever. And maybe this will be like the last of the big virtual meetings. And so let's go out with a bang, right? So part of that in accomplishing that goal, as you've seen tonight, sometimes you have technical issues bringing people in and out. We had like 30 something guests at the last meeting. It was a technical feat like none other. We're not going to do that anymore. So we're not going to connect via laptop with our guests. We're going to have everyone fly to Memphis and we're going to present live from my new home. It's actually in Germantown, but Memphis. And the theme is also going to be focused around something that's really practical, really tangible, and that's applicable to everyone, both doctors and team. And so Thursday night, we're going to focus on being the best orthodontist and everything that comes with that. So the whole theme of the meeting is going to be being the best of the best. And so as an orthodontist, the best leader, the best clinical orthodontist, the best at branding yourself and your practice, and even some discussions on being your best self.
Yeah, and I was, listening to Chris talking the first hour, and he was talking, and then, he's talking about, hey, the practices with consultants did really well this year, and then Leanne laid out, I mean, thousands of dollars worth of information. She's giving you like their best stuff on this, and I'm sitting here thinking like, wow, we're giving this stuff away for free. I mean, you're getting these consultants, and now we're going to pack this into 2 days and do the exact same thing. There's no fluff in our meetings. I mean, they are get to the point. So Friday's going to be focused on the orthodontic team. We're going to cover it all. Clinical team members are going to look at efficiency, consistency, and delegation. From admin, we're going to talk about answering phones, greeting new patients, treatment coordinating, marketing, lead to call in, how long before you call those leads back. And then we'll tie it all together at the end for what I promise you is going to be the most practical and high yield meeting you've ever attended. I also want to make sure the meeting is focused on the information you want most. So we're going to have one exclusive sponsor this year. And I think that's a huge deal for you guys and for us. And that's 3M. We couldn't be more excited to announce that partnership. We love 3M. They have jumped in our back seats and say, hey, we love you too. And so together, we're going to bring you something that's going to be incredible. I can promise you that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks to 3M, who's probably out there watching.
Love you
So
guys.
who's speaking? Who do we got? We need to have it be a small group since we're all going to kind of be together. It's going to be in April. We'll say the date here in a second, but we're going to bring back some of the favorites from the 2020 meeting and some new faces as well. And so I wanted to pick, these are all just orthodontists, okay? But those who are killing it in their own unique ways. So Dr. Cole Johnson, Dr. Anil Adikula, Dr. Stuart Frost, Dr. Nicole Wax, Dr. David Sarver, Dr. Candace Coleman, who I went to dental school and orthodontics residency with. She's amazing. Dr. Chris Feldman, who you might hear from in a little bit. Dr. Lisa Alvitro, Dr. Shane Langley, who's a real clinical whiz, and I can't wait for you to learn from him. And Dr. Courtney, no longer Schiefelbein or Bine, or I can never pronounce it, but Dr. Courtney Berry is going to be with us too. Who will be on this show here in just a second. A really amazing list of speakers, I think.
And of course, Kyle and I are going to be there to host it all for you. So when is it? Mark your calendars right now. Everybody get out your phone, bring up your calendar, move over to April and mark it down right now. April 8th and 9th. So a little cheer before tax day, the coming up week. We'll be on Zoom again, but we're going to be filming the best possible in video audio for you. I mean, we want this to feel like you're watching the Tonight Show. It's going to be an incredible experience for you. Think pay-per-view fight level quality. If you watched the Tyson fight recently, I mean, high level of production. We'll pull out all the stops. We can promise you that. We've got an incredible team that's ready to do it for you. You do not want to miss this. And tonight, I'm telling you, is going to be the night to get registered.
Yeah. And unlike the Tyson fight, Snoop Dogg, well, I don't want to say that he won't be there. We don't know. Maybe he will. He won't be there. But it would be great if he would be. And so I know a lot of us work on Fridays too. That was one thing about our previous meeting was that we had nothing going on. I know you work on Fridays, a lot of you, but trust me, it's going to be worth blocking off your day. So it's going to be Thursday night. Everyone's available Thursday night. But on that Friday day, when we talk about the orthodontic team, it's going to go from 9 in the morning until 2. So it's sort of like a half a day. it is going to be worth blocking off that time. I promise you. All right. So here's the deal. Registration is now live on tdolive.com. If you register in the next 48 hours with the promo code EARLYBIRD, you'll save 50% off and you'll get exclusive access. There's going to be a behind the scenes camera that's going the whole weekend on a separate Zoom. You'll also be able to get on there and interact live with our meeting guests and come on and ask a question and be on video. Also, after hours, we're going to do special stuff on that, but it's only for people who sign up with the early bird promo code. Yeah, that's a big deal, I think.
I think it's going to be awesome. Yeah. I mean, we've never seen this level of production in any other ortho meeting, and we know there's going to be some stuff virtually, but we can promise you guys this is going to be the one you're not going to want to miss. Usually meetings increase their prices after they kind of prove that they can be a great meeting. And I think, last year was a big hit. We've had great reviews, but we dropped ours because we want everyone to be there. With the early bird code, it's only $50 for doctors, $25 for staff, and we couldn't make it any cheaper. And obviously that's a huge thanks to 3M and what they've done stepping up to the plate to help us keep those prices low. We don't want there to be any barrier. You're paying for the CE. I mean, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for that CE. It's going to be more than worth it at $50.25. And even after the early bird goes away, the prices are still extremely reasonable. So you can't beat that. I don't think, Kyle, can you beat that?
You cannot beat that. Yeah, I've seen lots of other virtual meetings. I got asked to speak on a virtual meeting in the dental world, and it was like $1,800 for virtual. It was something like crazy. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, $100 doctors, $50 team. It's 50% off. So it's 50 and 25. You bring your whole team for a couple $100. So I promise you it will be worth it. And then lastly, this is the last thing we're going to say, and we're going to push to the happy hour. I know you're ready for that. I know you're waiting for that. Residents, we heard you. We have a plan for you, and it is extremely reasonable. So if you're a resident, message me on Facebook. I have to explain it to you. I'll hook you up with some very special pricing. Also, because we're giving away all sorts of stuff.